All right. Good evening and welcome to the Humphreys Elementary Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call this meeting of the Humphreys Elementary Go Team to order at 4:32 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now take the roll.
First, the secretary has to unmute herself. If you will please respond present when your name is called. Huron Trimble.
Present.
Tia Barnes. Abigail Reese Kelly.
Present.
Damian Marshall.
Present.
Lexa Smith.
Present.
Orita Campbell. Present. Asha Wright. Michael Charles.
Present.
This team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Mrs. Campbell, is there a quorum present today?
There is a quorum present today.
Perfect. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you via email. I will now show a copy here on my shared screen. Give me just a sec. Please take a moment to review the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda for today? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
A second?
No, second.
All in favor, please say aye or use your thumbs up reaction button so that the secretary may record your vote. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. We will now review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you via email. I will also show a copy here on my shared screen. Please take a moment to review. Are there any corrections? If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes.
A second?
I will
No,
second it.
second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye or use your thumbs up and reaction button to say aye. Secretary will need to record your vote. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Motion passes. We will now move on to the discussion items on our agenda for today. Of course, this is a third meeting where we are discussing, the budget. Our first discussion item is the presentation of the final budget. Mr. Trimble, are you ready to share with us the final budget presentation?
Yes.
Okay. You should be able to share screen at this time.
Oh, okay. Good evening, everyone. So we went over this the last time. We'll go over it again. There was no changes to any of the allocations, which there wouldn't have been, based on the staffing conferences. And we'll go over the summary, which has some of those staffing allocations. However, there was no changes there either. And so we looked at this the last time, how much full-time equivalents we have for instruction, pupil services, improvement of instructional services, instructional staffing, media, school administration, maintenance and operations. And looking at that as a percentage of a pie, each of those are notated there. Okay, and so our total budget was roughly 4.3 million, and this is how each was allocated. Okay, and so now we'll take a look at the summary. Again, these didn't change based on our staffing conferences, but they could have. And so that's why we wait to this meeting, or we waited to this meeting to share these. Excuse me. So as you can see here, we primarily at Humphreys have 2 teachers and 2 classes per grade level, and that remains the same here. You may see here where we have 3 for 5th grade. That's actually one of our EIP teachers. He is there for 5th grade. And so we continue to have 2 classrooms for each grade level. Our enrollment projections, which are here, but again, these are just projections. They would have us having 17 apiece in kindergarten and 24 apiece in 1st grade, and that's based on kindergarten numbers plus an increase, so on and so forth. Okay, right now we are allocated to have a 0.5 art teacher that we share with Cleveland Avenue, hence the 0.5. A 0.25 band teacher, because we share her with 4 other schools. A 0.5 music teacher, we share her with Benteen. A full-time PE coach, primarily because the state of Georgia, there is a certain number of minutes that students have to have physical education, which really amounts to twice a week. And so because he has to have instruction twice a week, then he is full-time. And then art teacher at 0.5 shared with Cleveland Avenue. Here is another EIP teacher. She also is our MTSS coordinator. And for those, MTSS is multi-tiered support system. And what that is that it's an intervention program that provides needed support for students that have performed where they need that support. Our ESOL teacher, English to speakers of other languages, is a 0.7, which means that she would be here for 3 days and then the morning of another day. We have 2 interrelated teachers. We have a shared 0.5 special education lead teacher. And the good thing is that we do not necessarily share her with another school, but we share her with a district program. So that does allow her to be a little bit more flexible. And she's able to assist a little bit more than if we had to share her with another school. We have a 0.5 speech pathologist. We share her with Tuskegee Global. And we have an adaptive PE teacher. We have 4 special education paraprofessionals, 2 kindergarten paraprofessionals, and 2 other paraprofessionals. The 2 other paraprofessionals, one runs our math lab. She facilitates that program, and another is a paraprofessional for our STEM lab. As far as administration, it's the principal, the assistant principal, school secretary, and clerk. We have 1 counselor, 2 instructional coaches, 2 master teacher leaders. They serve in 2 very different roles. One supports students in a pull out and push in setting. So they pull out of the classroom as well as push into the classroom. But she also serves as a reference and a resource to our teachers. The other next year will deliver our talented and gifted instruction and our talent development, as well as work with other students that are 75% or above as measured by the MAP assessment. We have 1 media specialist, 1 school nurse. Next year, we will have 1 signature program specialist. And our signature program is STEM. And so we will have 1 person that is able to make that their own, which will help us in implementing STEM throughout our school day. We have 1 social worker. So this position here is a little tricky. So it's an instructional technology specialist, and it says 1. We don't have 1 instructional technology specialist. They put that in our budget just so that it makes it easier than to split her in, the 6, 7 schools that she has. Even though it's in our budget, they fund it totally, so it doesn't really impact it. And when I say they, it's the district funds it totally. We have 2 custodians, a 0.25 psychologist. We share him with 3 other schools, and a 0.5 site manager. A pre-K teacher, pre-K paraprofessional. Again, that's the adaptive PE teacher. And 1 paraprofessional. And when you look, if you can look here, where it says the TVIB, that's actually Roman numerals for Title VI. That comes out of our Title VI budget. Well, not ours, but the district's Title VI budget. And that pretty much is the budget that we have presented for approval. Like I said, nothing really changed from the last time we met. But I would entertain any questions that anyone might have at this time.
Okay. And so for the purposes of this, being our 3rd and final meeting regarding the budget, where we would take action in a second after we entertain questions. Some of the questions that I want you all to consider that have been previously emailed to every member of the GO team include, are our school's strategic priorities reflected in this budget? And so we've looked at our strategic priorities for the previous 3 meetings, where we have ranked the items that we feel would push Humphreys further. And so towards the top of those strategic priorities were around filling all of our vacancies, as well as advancing our STEM program, as well as making sure we had social emotional supports for whole child development, and a few other items. So as we look at the budget that Mr. Trimble has presented to us, the questions are any new positions and or resources included in the budget to address our major priorities? So Mr. Trimble, for just the purposes of the GO team, can you speak to any new positions that were created with this budget that are different from this school year?
Sure. There are several that are new and really redesigned. So our signature program specialist, that is again a redesigned position. So last year we had that position. The person, Ms. Fowler, who was in that position, left to pursue another job. And so we did not fill the signature program position, but we did fill a signature program coach. So we have a signature program coach now who coaches our signature program and monitors that, but she also monitors math and science. The next year, our budget will allow us to separate those 2 roles out, and we were able to do a signature program specialist, but also have a math coach. And so that is one redesigned role. There is one other, one of the master teacher leaders is new this year. And again, that's kind of a redesign role. We took away our 0.5 gifted teacher. So at one point, we would share our gifted teacher with another school. And when any of those positions are shared, how that looks is they will be at a school for 2.5 days, and then they're at another school for 2.5 days, which means they're never fully at one school. And so what we did was because it was not really fair to our program here, but also not fair to the teacher, we decided to go with a full-time master teacher leader who would, one, deliver instruction to our gifted students, but also cultivate some giftedness in some of our other students that have not yet been identified. So she will have kind of a dual role. And just to let everyone know, our current gifted teacher, who is 0.5, he's going to do a similar role at his home school. So he is not going to be without. We wouldn't have done it if he was going to be out without, because he's a good young man, and we appreciate everything that he's done here at Humphreys. But he's going to do a similar role at his home school, so he'll be full-time there. And that was it as far as new jobs, roles, positions. Yep, that was it, just those two.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Trimble. And so along those lines, as we think about new positions and priorities for next year, another question listed here that was emailed is, what trade-offs are being made in order to support these priorities? Are you able to speak to that, Mr. Trimble? Do you see or anticipate anything that we are trading off, or are we just adding on to what we have already done this school year?
Yeah, thankfully, we're just adding on. As we talked, I think in our first budget meeting, our enrollment last year was projected at 191 students. And so we've gained 50 students just enrollment. Now, we have never been in the last 2 years been below 230 some odd students, but we were projected to have 191. And so thankfully, with that 50 student difference, we were afforded the funds to fund everything that we spoke about here tonight without leveraging anything else.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Trimble. And so the second bucket of questions was just around alignment with district and cluster priorities. So of course, Humphreys Elementary is a part of the South Atlanta cluster, and the entire cluster is STEM based. So as we think about our budget and review it here, some questions that we might ask or ponder. Cluster priorities. What staff materials are dedicated to supporting our cluster priorities? Again, we are a STEM cluster. As we think about signature programming, what staff materials, etc., are dedicated to supporting our signature program? And then finally, are there positions our school will share with another school? And Mr. Trimble did review most of those positions. At this time, it looks like will be around the specialty areas, but everyone else would be full-time. So are there any other questions or thoughts around making sure this budget is reflective of our strategic priorities that we did rank, I believe, at our November meeting? Or any other questions that you might have for Mr. Trimble at this time before we move into taking action? Okay.
I will say, Ms. Smith, I think your first question in there was about our signature program, and there was it new funding, or was it new positions that
Yes.
support our signature program?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've already kind of talked to that.
Yes.
About our signature program specialist. Just when you were saying that, another thought popped in my head about materials and resources. And I just want the Go team to know, like, Humphreys never once, at least the last couple of years I've been here, never once for materials and resources. We have everything that makes us successful when it comes to those types of items. And then we collaborate with a lot of partners and things, but one of our own Go team members, Ms. Reese Kelly, has really been helpful in a lot of our STEM offerings, things that we're going to offer to our students, new thinking. So I just take this time to thank Ms. Reese Kelly for helping and supporting us on that.
Awesome, thank you. Ms. Reese Kelly, would you like to speak? Or have any feedback?
No, I just know that you guys have a great program. So anything I can do to assist or, really help out, just please let me know. Anything for Humphreys.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. As a result of our discussion items today, we do need to act at this time. Do I hear a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 budget?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye or use your thumbs up reaction button so that the secretary may record your vote. All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Okay, motion carries. Okay. Our second discussion item today is in relationship to the work that Ms. Reese Kelly has been doing, as well as Ms. Campbell and members of the GO team regarding our creation of the STEM Creative Arts class, okay, or course. So GO team members were sent instructions for completing the flexibility training on Ellis. I'm just going to pull that up for a second before we move into discussion for a sec. Let me see. Oh, don't want to share that one. So tab. Okay, hold on one second. Let me pull up the right screen. Okay. Can you all see my screen, the Ellis screen?
Yes.
Okay. So over February, last month, maybe about 2 weeks ago, you should have received an email from the GO team office regarding the GO team flexibility and school-based solutions course. Okay. So as a part of what we are trying to do with our STEM Creative Arts Lab course for next school year, there are certain components that the GO team will be instrumental in making sure that this is something that we want to move forward with for next year. So as a part of that work, you were emailed another course to complete. That's in addition to some of the other courses that we've already taken regarding the GO team flexibility and school-based solutions. Okay. So if you haven't already, please take that course. And also take that 6-question assessment that's at the end of the course. The video is super short. I did not put it on the agenda for us to view together today, but it's about 2 to 3 minutes, and then it follows a 6-question assessment. If you need any support with either of those, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. However, in the video, it notes, and as a part of this process, we are required to have 20 consecutive days of public comment from all stakeholders so that they are able to provide feedback about the proposed change to the course offering for next school year. So again, because we are proposing to change a course offering, we must allow 20 days of consecutive public comment to receive feedback from all stakeholders. So when we say stakeholders, that means instructional staff, parents, as well as community members. Okay. So at this time, Ms. Campbell, are you ready to share the plan that we have to collect feedback from the public?
Let me see if I can pull up the correct screen here. Share screen. This would be it. Can everyone see it says gathering feedback for our flexibility initiative?
Yes.
Okay. So our proposal to create a STEM Creative Arts Lab in lieu of a visual art class. As a STEM school, We endeavor to include STEM in all of our classes and activities. Therefore, we propose to reconfigure the traditional visual arts class into a STEM creative arts lab. In this lab, students would exercise their creativity by learning graphic arts and desktop publishing, coding, and engaging in makerspace activities that would supplement and enrich their science lessons. So the next step is to gather feedback for our stakeholders to make sure that everyone involved in this process of educating our students knows what we're doing. We're going to create a flyer that explains the new STEM Creative Arts Lab and will contain a link to an online feedback form. We will create said online feedback form and a print feedback form for those who do not have access to the technology for online. We're going to present the proposal at a Wednesday faculty meeting in order to receive our faculty input. Our engagement specialist will present our proposal to our community partners and receive feedback. We will distribute the flyer to parents in the Thursday communications bundle, that goes home every Thursday to the parents. We're going to post it on our website and our Class Dojo. We will present our proposal at the April 12th parent event and solicit feedback at the event. So it's not just going to be putting it out on the computer or sending it home papers. We actually do have a parent event scheduled, so we'll be able to do some face-to-face. And then we're going to collect and evaluate all the feedback.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell, for that. So as a Go team, do we have any discussion around the plan to collect stakeholder feedback regarding the creation of the STEM Visual Arts Lab course?
I have a question. If there is adverse feedback, what happens? What happens next?
Okay. What happens next is that we talk to, let me share my screen again. And this is apparently after we get our feedback, then we will, if we need to adapt this proposal, we will. If not, we will submit the final SBS to the district Go team as an action item. We will submit the proposal. They will route the request to the DST for final review. And then that will go to the associate superintendent and other appropriate areas for review. As I hope you can see on the screen this process.
Yes, I can see.
And thank you, Ms. Campbell, for presenting that. And thank you, Ms. Reese Kelly. That was a great question. And so at this time, we have not been presented with numerical numbers or qualitative data around the percentages. Once we create the online feedback form and receive the responses, we will submit that information to the Go Team office, and in collaboration with them, they would recommend how we would either address the feedback that is opposing of the course for next school year and give us the next steps. But as of right now, we have not received the quantitative numbers for the percentages of negative feedback as opposed to positive feedback, if that makes sense. Okay, awesome. Are there any other questions regarding the plan to collect the stakeholder feedback or where we are in the process? Okay. So.
I'll stop sharing.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. So as a result of our second discussion item today, we do need to act at this time. Do I hear a motion to approve the plan to share about the STEM Creative Arts Lab with stakeholders and collect feedback?
I move that we go forward with the plan.
A second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, please say aye or use your thumbs up or reaction button so that the secretary may record your vote. Thank you. Any abstentions, please say sorry. Any opposed, please say nay. Okay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Motion carries. Now we will move on to our information items for today's meeting. First is the principal's report. Mr. Trimble, do you have a report to share with us at this time?
No report tonight.
Thank you. And that was all for our informational items. Thank you. We are now moving on to our announcements. First, today was our final Go Team meeting of the school year. I would like to say thank you for your service. This was my first year as serving on a Go Team and as chair, and I would like to say that it has been a very pleasant process. I do appreciate each and every one of you for your time, your service, and taking all of the trainings. Second, I would like to thank personally Mr. Charles for supporting Humphreys at the 2023 Career Day. It was our first career day post-COVID, and it was a huge, huge success. The students and staff had a really great time. I'm learning about the medical field, being over in the gym and working with all of the medical staff that you did bring out. So thank you again. I know Ms. Gowan has been very thankful as well for all of your support with that. So thank you so much, Mr. Charles. We also want to formally thank Ms. Reese Kelly as well. I know Mr. Trimble mentioned it already, for supporting us with the process and creation of that STEM creative arts class. We are so, so grateful for your expertise and just being willing to support. So thank you, Ms. Reese Kelly. Okay, awesome. Does anyone else have any announcements? This is where I would announce the next Go Team meeting, but we do not have one currently scheduled. But please just stand by. Your term, just to remind you, your term does not end until June 30th. Okay, so if we have to reconvene for a later meeting, especially regarding our process with the course, there might be recommendations from the Go Team office for us to reconvene and discuss some further things, particularly if we get more negative feedback regarding the creation of the course. We might have to schedule an emergency, as they call them, meetings for us to talk about our next steps. But if you have not, and they don't tell me your terms, so I'm not sure. Ms. Reese Kelly, are you saying again for next year?
Yeah, I believe mine is until 2025, if I'm not mistaken. Or
Okay.
2024.
2024. Okay, perfect. 2-year terms. Okay, awesome. So we will have 2 vacancies already in the parent seat as well as the instructional staff seat. We did meet the declaration for our instructional staff seat. However, we have not met the declaration for our parent seat. So we actually are still looking for a parent to serve as a member of the Go Team for next school year. So if you know anyone, a parent that has a child at Humphreys Elementary School, please send them my way. Of course, Mr. Charles, we would love to have you back again next year. So please stay tuned. We will stay in contact with you to share with when it is time to start that process again for the community member seat. Okay. Next on our agenda is public comment. As we have already mentioned, this meeting does not allow for public comment, so we will move down to the adjournment at this time. So we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? Okay. So we do see something in the chat, Ms. Campbell.
Yes, there is a note from Rakeisha. Hello from Atlanta PTA. We have a meeting on the 16th of this month.
Thank you for that. So, Ms. Waukesha, if you could, please email me that flyer so that I can disseminate that with our Humphreys parents as well outside of this meeting, so that we can share a little bit about the Atlanta PTA for our parents. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Campbell, if you would, please just drop my email in the chat for me. Okay. All right. So again, we have reached the end of our agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. A second?
Second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye or use your thumbs up reaction button so that the secretary may record your vote. Awesome. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Please say abstain. Meeting is adjourned at 5:12 p.m. I'm going to stop the recording.